you ready to rumble? Thanks for your concern.
Welcome back to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Berenice and Ella. How's it going? Spooky season is upon us.
Yes. Welcome to our very, very spooky episode.
I like your makeup. Is this just for the pod?
I did this in about 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh, you're so creative. You're an expert. She's like it, and I'm going for pumpkin. The hair is the vines and
Oh, okay. I see it. I
pumpkin.
get it.
Or are you thinking this is
Okay.
orange is orange is the new black? Is that more interesting?
No.
Yeah, we could be orange is the new black too. We're just bright orange.
You know, you've talked about this before, how it's like American culture is the only one where they dress up as like TV characters over
Yeah.
like actual, like spooks. I love a good mystical, magical character. I am okay with real people, like, when people do Squid Games and stuff like that. But I'm like, whatever. You know what you're gonna be this year for Halloween?
I hadn't thought about it yet. I will be passing out trick or treats, candy. Most probably the last Halloween at my grandmother's house are, RIP. So we're kind of doing a last holiday season in that house. So passing out candy to thousands of little kids, which is always fun. But I haven't decided on where we're doing. But we usually don't go like
Full
slutty
out.
mouse
Oh.
for passing out candy. We keep it appropriate for the kids.
Okay.
So it'll be something cute.
It's it's my birthday month. I'm feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got no kids. Kids don't come to my apartment building. I don't think. And I went. I serve on the weekends at this restaurant, and I was like, so it's my birthday month and it's Halloween, so I can't work on Halloween or my birthday or certain days. And they're chill, so they're like, oh, okay.
They're like, all right,
Yeah.
got it.
I am gonna do Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I've always wanted to do it. So
Hmm.
the thought here is I think I'm done with the blonde hair. I don't wanna be, but it's just a lot to upkeep.
It is.
So I just think it's time to like back to brunette slowly. But we already have a blank canvas. So we might as well go magenta. We might as well have some fun with it. And yeah, so I was thinking like what an opportunity to do. I've always wanted to do Shark Boy and Lava Girl. And then I also want to be a troll doll. And the hair is short.
Cute.
And I think it's just gonna work really well for that.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So
I love it.
I'm excited. Yeah. Spooky, scary stuff.
I know it's 10 days till your birthday. Woo! How old are you turning?
29.
Oh my god, you're still. I mean, obviously we're both really young, but 29. Woo!
It's like the last year of my 20s, which is cool almost, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not out here like speed racing everything I need to get done before I turn 30, but it is a cool way to look at it to be like, I guess this is like the last memories that I can say, like, I did that in my 20s.
It's an end of an era.
Yeah, so it can be real stupid. I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's your last time to be stupid, so enjoy it. No, we could be stupid forever, but yeah,
I've met
it's the end
some
of an era.
real dumb people in their 30s. Okay, so I can be
Yeah.
dumb in my 30s as well. Yeah. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a good one. I honestly haven't talked to like a lot of my friends in a while because I've been looking inward. But but like I'm looking forward to doing something. I don't know what it is yet. I actually told everybody that I didn't want to plan anything. So if somebody wanted to plan something for me, that'd be cool. But I personally won't. I'm taking a step back. You never know how people are willing to show up for you unless you take a step back. So if no one shows up for me, then I guess I'll know. I'll know what it is. But I just don't want to plan anything.
I mean, obviously birthdays are amazing, but I've stopped putting an emphasis on like the event, because it's like, oh my god, like I didn't have a huge birthday celebration this year. That means I should this could be a terrible year. Like I just don't think that's necessarily
No.
applicable. That's not how I feel anymore.
I cry on my birthday every year, and that's just like a ritual. So I feel like the weather is turning like Seattle and New York. It's so cold. And usually it's a little
Mhm.
bit of warmer October, but no, we're straight into like darkness. So you can like really feel fall the spooks, which I like. I think I've been waiting for this weather to feel like myself. There's something about darkness and a little bit of sadness that I can really thrive in while everybody else is like, what's happening? I'm like, my body has survived seasonal depression. Like, I think if you're from Seattle, you have seasonal depression somewhat figured out. You know what I mean? Like, you have a one up.
Ugh, don't say that. I don't wanna say that. No, but I get it. Honestly, I think it's underrated how much, like, fall weather really just, like, makes a whole vibe because, like, I'm spending a lot of time in Austin, and when I'm in Texas and it's 100 degrees, like, a pumpkin spice latte just does not hit the same. I'm telling you. And they all do pumpkin spice because they still, like, get into the season, but it's like, "It's 100 degrees. This doesn't feel like fall."
Yeah. No. Uh,
Mm-mm.
Oh my god, Texas. I don't know if I could live in anywhere where it's a continuous season the entire year. I think there's something beautiful about the weather changes and closings and beginnings. I feel like you there's something a new chapter to look forward to, you know?
Yeah, I think the best part that I feel is that those mornings just hit really good when you feel like getting out of bed. There's sometimes in fall where you just feel like cuddling up underneath your blanket and you don't want to get up because it's dark and windy and it seems like a really good time to just stay in bed, but that's not the vibe. So that's kind of what I like is that I wake up every day and I'm like, "Oh, the sun is shining. It is the day is ready for me." So it's just a different vibe.
Yeah.
Like, who am I gonna be when it's always warm? Maybe I'll be a whole new person.
That is true. I've never had a winter where I didn't have like a reason I needed to get up really early. But now that I kind of like set my own life hours, it's a little different. Here's the thing. So like anything has a transitional period. And I used to be a corporate girly and I did that for freaking years. So now
Mhm.
that like now I've settled into I'm going to wake up at this time and I'm just making my own hours. I feel like I'm finally this is the reality. You know, it no longer feels like I'm going back to something at some point. I'm excited to see how I fend for winter on my own without structure. Only the one that I provide for myself. Which is kind of this is a little spooky because you never know.
It's spooky, and I think this, like, goes into our theme, which
Yeah.
is spooky things, and spooky things, like you said, is, like, you're giving yourself structure. I think, you being the adult in life, I feel like that's spooky.
It became an interesting thought when I realized I had reached the age where I looked at people and I thought they knew what they were doing. Like, I'm like, one day I'll be an adult and I'll know what's going on. And then you get here and I'm like, turns out turns out no one knows what's going on and what they're doing most of the time. And it was comforting as a child to think that they did.
I feel like this I'm a lot of people might relate to this, but as a child, I realized the adults in my life might not know what's going on. Like they might not have a good grasp on how things are supposed to go, and that was a little spooky for me. And now I'm an adult and I realize I can do free will kind of spooks me out because I really can do anything. Like I could be so fucking unhinged if I want to be, but like the consequences, right?
The consequences. There's definitely like a little bit of a balance. I do feel like some adults know what's going on, or as you get older, you are a little more self-aware of what you're doing and like your behavior. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
so something that I find spooky, I guess now that I've reached my age, is looking at like younger people and how naive they can be. Like when I was younger, I was just talking to somebody about this. Like I didn't know like what manipulation was per se, but like older people kind of like are already more like cognitive, like you know what it is, you know what it looks like. But when you're younger, I feel like obviously you're way more likely to be manipulated or influenced per se just because you haven't experienced it yet.
The joys and the scariness of naivete for young people when I realized like I had this like spooky moment when I was an orientation counselor because we had like required programming. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, how do we all feel about drinking and drugs? Are we feeling like, we're gonna be safe about it. And
Right.
every single person was like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I swear to you, every 18-year-old boy, and they're more closely 17. Every 17-year-old boy told me they knew how they were going to handle themselves. They had so much experience, and that they were not worried at all about college because they were so ready, and that they were already so cool that they already know how college is going to go. And I literally was sitting there just being like, wow, life is going to happen to you hard, because at least I had a little bit of I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to have fun. That's like a little bit better than I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit of I know what's going on because I thought I was like, I've been fending the world for myself a little bit. Like, I got this. It's delusion, but
Mhm.
optimism. But also, I think like life will humble you really quickly when you think you know what's going on to be like, you don't. Like you learn fast. I think that's college is an interesting place to be. Even if you don't like stay in college, I think like college is a good experience because it does provide you with a little bit of a structure in the in between, like when you leave your mom's house. Like you
Yeah.
kind of need that.
I mean, I had like a not traditional path where I
Yeah.
spent a year in community college living with my boyfriend. Regrets. Like, if I
And
could
you
get
learned a lot during that year.
Yeah,
And a
and I
half.
mean, like, thank God, because like I see people on TikTok, just because this is like, or even people in my real life, but I think more so people on TikTok, where I see women have conversations about their current boyfriend that like I unfortunately had when I was 16. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, unfortunately, I figured out you don't know until you're in it, and it takes you a really long time to get out of it. Like, there's this writer for the Sarah Silverman show, and he also wrote for Trevor Noah's Daily Show. And Todd Tramper, he's a WSU alum. He came and had a huge talk at WSU. And let me tell you, I went to all the free panels and conversations because I was like, I'm getting my money's worth. I'm leaving here with something, and more than a motherfucking degree. Like, I need these free activities to justify $24,000 a year. And he was like, tips on life and the things that I think about constantly. Like, honestly, I'm about to reach out to this guy because I feel like he doesn't know how big of an impact he had on me. One of them, he said the difference between people who make it and don't make it are those who give up. Like, basically, what is the same thing for all of the people who have made it in life when we're talking about the entertainment industry? It's those who did not give up.
You continue.
You just
Agree.
continue on. And then the other thing was like, you should find the signs of an abusive relationship before you're in one. And I was like, see, I learned that the hard way. I learned it post. That's spooky now that I had that experience at 16, 17, 18, because now it's like, thank God, I guess, but it's interesting how life humbles you.
Now that you say that, we talked about how like I knew Juno, the dad in Juno, it was like kind of a groomer and certain
Yeah.
things because in Mexico we have these like TV shows. Each episode is different. I don't know what style of TV show that's called, okay? But essentially, there's various ones. There's La Rosa de Guadalupe and Lo que callamos las mujeres that we had growing up. Now there's even more, okay? And basically, these like mini episodes follow a warning story per se, okay? And these go into all of the dangers of the world. Whether it's like a groomer, an abusive relationship, drugs, alcohol, like anything you can think of is in these mini episodes. So even though like, and I used to watch TV with my grandma all the time, but specifically these shows. So I learned about like like women getting abused through lo que callamos las mujeres when I was 7 years old.
That seems equally traumatic and valuable. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's amazing because it's like once you see it, and like I remember this like one guy that I met at a festival, and like, dude, my alarm bells were going off crazy, and I had just met this man, and literally like I saw like two paths where it's like I just continue on this path with the red signs, and I knew where that was gonna end up because I had been here before, and then like this other path where I just say, okay, ha ha ha, bye, went down that path, and like I just know, because of that, like, life experience, but it's spooky when you meet someone new who is, like, someone old, and they're very different, they look different, they have different personalities, but they have these things where you're like, "I've been here before."
I was also talking something similarly where they were like, "Well, I know their ex-partner and we're like kind of similar energy-wise." And I'm like, "Well, it didn't work out with that person." Like
Mhm.
and then they're like obviously maybe I like put my foot in my mouth, but I was just like it does means because that person wasn't reaching out to them or whatever and they were wondering why since their last partner was similar to them. I was like sometimes similar energy is not what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Like how things ended with a certain personality type or sort of like etiquette or whatever, and you don't necessarily want to go down that road again. A familiar feeling is sometimes not comforting, depending on what that feeling is.
Well, maybe if you get with it, it's taken me a fucking while to figure that out, you know?
Yeah, the love bombing behavior for me, it's because it's sneaky. Like there's a little bit of like between being really into someone and between being love bombing. And I kind of saw that during this past season of Love Island when it's like, well, I wasn't love bombing you because I wasn't intentionally doing it. And I think that that's like I haven't read enough into like the intention behind it. I don't think a lot of people that love intentionally know they're like trying to manipulate you by gassing you up that much. I think they do it out of lack of self-awareness of like the repercussions of like what that level of like Russian dopamine mean at the beginning without any sort of like responsibility or commitment. And I think that's like kind of where it gets a little iffy because now, like before I got with my current boyfriend, I had a good run of I was like, wow, I could really be in a relationship if I choose to because I had certain suitors. Okay. But all of them came with things. Like one of them was like a little bit too love bomby, and I told them I was like, I don't like this behavior, so you're gonna chill. And they couldn't chill. And then mixed with that, there was another one, and I just sensed like anger. Like we went out and he had to like excuse himself when he got like worked up, and I was like, I'm not trying to have a bad time. And that seems like a bad
Here's the thing about
time.
me. Well, actually, to your point, I think that's actually a really big misconception about like someone has to intentionally be doing bad behavior for it to be something that you can address. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I think sometimes it's like, "Oh, well, he doesn't mean to be like this." I don't think it really matters
Yeah.
if the intention is there or not. Like I don't really believe that a lot of people who maybe just I would say, like, let's just say, like, unhealthy love behaviors. I don't think they're intentional. I don't think they're sitting here and saying, like, okay, how and I've actually figured this out because I asked dudes questions. In like sometimes
They're not malicious. They're just not, they just haven't fully thought it out.
Well, I think that there's this idea that there's like some masterminding constantly behind bad behavior, and it's not always like that. And I've only come to discover that by asking questions. And it's like, oh, okay, so this guy's like not plotting to ruin my life. He's just making bad choices and then covering up for it. And he's not doing that because this is a part of a big master plan. I'm not saying that there aren't those people. I'm sure there are people who are intentionally malicious, but there's just lots of people who just like make bad choices or that's just how that love was modeled in their house, which is like makes me really sad for them, to be honest.
That's always like a hard conversation to have with your friends that it's like, I know this man isn't a bad person. And like, I really, want to say that like they're a human being,
Mhm.
but their behavior based on like some of the things you've told me, I just don't see it going well. I'm like, sometimes if you hear that there's a lot of background of abuse in someone's family and they haven't worked through it with somebody and can recognize that some of those things were abusive, they're most likely to repeat that in your own thing. And I don't think they're like trying to be mean to you or malicious, but that's just what they know. Yeah. It's a tough one. I don't think a lot of people are malicious, to be honest. Like there are some evil motherfuckers over there, okay?
Yeah, I
But no,
agree.
most people aren't. They are just navigating from whatever place they can.
Preach.
Sucks.
Dude, it's like a spooky situation that I just want to touch on. Have you seen that new documentary about that poor girl who was cyberbullied for like 2 years?
Wasn't it her mom
Yeah,
or parent?
it was
Yeah.
her mom. Like, obviously, that girl's still processing it. She's still very young, but it's something her mom said that was like, "Well, some bad things happened to me, so, like, I think I I don't even know. It's kind of cuckoo bananas, but it's always kind of spooky to me that sometimes where some people's like, especially like I feel like for women, like sometimes your full first bully is your mom, and they don't even know they're intentionally bullying you. And there's this really interesting book about women who run with wolves. It kind of has like a chapter, just a little snippet about this, about like when someone's mom says bad things about themselves and thus like kind of gives you things to be self-conscious about. I always think that's so spooky, but I try to give like people a lot of love when they're self-conscious because I'm like I feel like that was imprinted into you.
It's really sad to hear people whose parents are their biggest op. It makes me really grateful for the parents I have. At the end of the day, it's all projection, and you
Mhm.
don't really get that until you're older. The way that sometimes they treat you is just the way that they were treated, they were raised. It doesn't make it right. It just makes it like again what they know, which is really sad. And it actually, I feel like, I mean, it's just so sad. It's sad to think like your mom's out here trying to make you feel bad. You know what I mean? Willing, like, knowingly or unknowingly, I think a lot of parents do it, and it actually leads to another spooky thing. Have you watched the show Wayward?
No.
Oh my god,
What's this one
okay.
about?
This one's kind of about that. It's like generational a cult that's trying to like break generational trauma. You know how Paris Hilton went to Provost, like a
Yeah.
teen, yeah, so they have like a school for bad teenagers, but it's actually run kind of like by an organization that's trying to break generational trauma. And you can see how like how you're raised, it kind of also makes you susceptible to get manipulated through love and through like, you know, like corrective therapy. So it's just like really sad and also really interesting to think about that. But I do believe that like as generations go, now we have a lot more education on how like parenting and like how certain
Mhm.
things lead to certain things. So maybe times are changing. I don't know. I saw Encanto with my
Mhm.
family over the holidays like a few years ago. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this was about generational trauma. I was like, should we get into it? What a
Yeah,
perfect opportunity.
whenever there's like an eldest daughter character, you know, like because the in Kanto, it's the one where she's like the eldest daughter's like the strong one because it's like I have to bear like everything for the family, you know. God, so real, bro.
Yeah, they all have like a complex by
Mhm.
different sets of beliefs their family has placed on them. Spooky, scary stuff. And those things are like now known that it's passed genetically. Crazy. Crazy. Spooky.
Spooky, but like exciting. You can really just change the narrative, babes. You can flip it and reverse it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it's like, dude, if you come from like a long line of spookiness, like you do have the power to change it. It's hard work. And honestly, I haven't been able to successfully do it without support. But babes, support is out there.
Something that I find a little bit spooky, scary, not gonna lie. This is not to shame people, like you can do whatever with your body. Facelift culture lately has been creeping me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't wanna like don't watch it till you try it, you know. Maybe you'll see me in 20 years getting one. But I ran into this 28-year-old girl who did it. And I was like, what?
It's
Sis,
really
why?
It's really sad that we have these, like it's spooky that we have this negative connotation with aging, specifically for women, when it's honestly just so I don't know, I have a hard time about it because it's like, personally, do I feel like an individual getting a facelift to make themselves, like, their lives easier or whatever, fuck it, like, what am I gonna do? Tell you to fucking struggle because you're struggling with how ageism is affecting you? But it is crazy that we're getting, like, younger and younger.
Yeah. And everyone just looks slightly the same from
Yeah,
it's interesting. I don't know how to feel about it yet.
I think it's spooky that people are changing they're doing risky surgeries, and I mean risky as in anytime you take a surgery, like you're doing a surgery that carries the risk of death in order to fit a status quo that ebbs and flows and changes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like BBLs were all the rage. Were like now people don't even get BBLs because it's like D class, quote unquote, other people's words, not mine. You know, wow, that's spooky that we just are like shifting what bodies are supposed to look like, and now people have like what's that fuck like chuggy body types because it's something that was popular 15 years ago. You know how
Yeah.
spooky.
It is spooky. And those are all like trends not set by you. It's things you buy into. Which, social media, the internet scares me a little bit.
Oh, girl, there's so much like power and good things that come from it because you have people who can connect. Like, God, I wish I knew the couple's name, but her name's Pamela, and but they have this like rare genetic condition, and they like found each other over the internet, and now they like fell in love. They have a super cute love story. TLC. I'll have to remember the name of it, but it's like cool that people can connect with like things that used to be rare that you would never meet people like one on one just because of how rare it is and like you can connect with people a lot easier, but then it's like there's two sides to every coin, which is like the spooky part is
Yeah, there's just a lot. There's like a lot of information that's just really easy. Like it spooks me how easy it is to find people. Like if I can
yeah,
find somebody information, like where they come from and stuff, because like I'm an PI, no one pays me. I just like it. Like that's scary. I should be able to do that. Right now, there's like a bit. I guess it became like a trend. There's like teenagers dying in New York, like kids, subway surfing.
yeah,
Stupid. So fucking stupid. And I asked my boyfriend, he grew up here. I was like, did people always do this? Because obviously you could always do this. This is just
yeah.
like, why is there a rise of this? And he's like, I don't know, maybe you fucking TikTok. Which is just the fact that something can influence you that easily to be like, yeah, I'm gonna put my life at risk. I think a lot of it is like that scares me is desensitizing a lot of like real life. You know what I mean? Even with the surgeries, you see people kind of like go through their days, but if you've ever had surgery, when you wake up, you feel like absolute like you're gonna die. Like you do not
Oh
feel
yeah.
good. Like you have incisions in your body. So I don't know. I feel like sometimes when I watch some videos, I'm like, they make it look so casual that you like kind of forget that that is like a human experience that involves pain and like an actual experience. And I think that that's what I find the scariest
Yeah,
of
and
it
there's
all.
also the survivor's bias of social media. Like obviously you don't see all the people who are getting fucked up doing trends because they're not the ones posting it, you know what I'm saying? Like there's like people who are, I have a lot of hot takes about free soloing specifically and you still cannot convince me that free soloing that's when you rock climb without anything, without safety equipment. You still can't fucking convince me that that's not a selfish activity, and every fucking person that's tried to convince me otherwise hasn't done a good job. And like the same thing with like going to Everest, and like a lot of people are okay. So like, let me tell you this: I get obsessed with shit. So I looked into Everest, and when I found out that there is like mile markers based on like people deceased human beings are like markers like oh you're halfway to the top because you saw this deceased person, that is fucking spooky to me, so I would never do some shit like that. And then the fact that people who die up there, they don't tell their story, right? Like they're not the people who share their story about going to Everest, it's people who have survived that do. And so I think the internet's kind of like that where you have people who are doing things that are dangerous but they're posting it because they're alive to do so.
I wish there was like a bigger reason. Like I'm sure people have clown mountains for pilgrimages and stuff like that. But sometimes the way I see Everest is kind of more like an ego thing for
Well,
like
it's like a cool thing to do, right? Like, oh, I climbed Everest. But the thing is most people who climb Everest, I will actually say, because I do think this is true. Most people who climb Everest now aren't prepared to climb Everest and couldn't do it alone. They pay someone $50,000, $70,000 to go up there. And let's not even get into like the exploitation of workers because they're risking their lives and they're the ones that get left behind first, because they get everyone else out who paid first, and then the last person to get out is the guide or the Sherpas. So yeah, I'm gonna say this. Like, I don't think it's that cool that you got supported so heavily to get to Everest. Like, it'd be cooler if you fucking did it on your lonesome.
I don't know. I feel like it's just not a need and there's no higher spiritual calling. If
Well,
it were
yeah,
to be like this religious spiritual experience, like bet. I get what you're doing. But no, a lot of people are like, I just want to do it. And I'm like, okay, that seems really interesting that that's what you choose to do with your time. But, you know, okay, cool that you did that. I don't know if I've ever been in the same mind space as that per se. Obviously, I want to. I want to be artistic. I want to make clothes. But I get pressed by, sorry, this is like, I get clients of all ages. Right now, I'm doing making some customs for some college students, and they're just blowing up my phone a little bit, and I'm like, it's just an outfit. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be out here like blood, sweat, and tears stressing out when I'm like, it's just clothing. And sometimes I think about that about some stuff where I'm like, I feel like it's made a really big deal. And now we just need to come back to planet Earth and remember that this is a thing we can actually live without.
And it's a little spooky digression is like, I guess it's spooky how different people are, but like I literally like you will not find me putting a lot of personal value on my job. Why? Because I've been laid off 3 times. You know what I'm saying? Like, how am I gonna put? It's like spooky that people like identify with their job when they have no control over whether they stay at their job or not. Like maybe 20 years ago or what something. Like, and I know that there's some occupations like teaching and doctors that isn't like associated with a corporation, but I see a lot of corporate workers who are like attached to being a ex company employee, and then it's like, oh, what happens after they lay you off? And people are distraught. Now they might be playing it up for LinkedIn, okay? They might actually not be this upset, but it seems like people are pretty upset. They're like, gave 20 years of my life to this company. They cut me without notice. It's like, it is
Yeah,
spooky that companies do that, but like, it's also spooky that you did that to yourself, bro.
I thought about that a lot in some other jobs where I'm like, why are you being mean to a girl over a company that, unfortunately, if something happened to you and you couldn't do your job, they let you go. You know what I
Well, not
mean?
even and not even that. Like, I don't know why, but there's like so much that happened at our first job that just thank God it happened, right? But the one thing that was like so spooky was this company was like our CEO, not the company we worked for. It was like another company while we were working there. I get this fucking email that was like, our CEO worked at the company for 50 years. He died. We're really sad about it. Thoughts and prayers. Don't worry though, business as usual. He'll be replaced by the end of the week. Was literally the summary of that email. And I was like, damn, bro. In the condolences email, they're like, don't worry, he'll be replaced quickly.
Immediately.
Like literally, they were like, "Don't worry, we are swiftly replacing him." They literally in typed out words said are already interviewing people. This motherfucker day, and they're already talking about
Body's
like, don't
still
fucking
warm.
like the body is still warm. Works there for 50 years, and they can't even send like a genuine condolences email without putting at the end, "Don't worry, he'll be replaced soon."
This was like our first experience at a college.
Well, no, I'm telling you, I've been working at corporations for like 7 months, and I'm so excited to have a corporate job because everyone said be in corporate. You'll love it, which I do on a lot of levels. But like, I just like was like, damn, that's so spooky. That's like really how people like companies operate without a lot of empathy, and it's so spooky.
Yeah, I see a lot of people get stressed out about a lot of jobs. In New York, honestly, like, it's a little different, I would say. At least with my friends, I see people like are happy that work at other jobs and like they don't deal with that much bullshit. But like a lot of my friends and people who are employed in New York, especially people that work at Midtown, like you're getting yelled at by some constantly. You're getting hit up on the weekends by somebody. And that's to me is like so ridiculous. Over something like clothes. You know what I mean? Like, and
It's spooky and it's silly.
it's a little it is a little silly that we put that much emphasis sometimes into our work. I think obviously a balance is nice, it's important. If I had somebody that was working for me, I would want them to care, but I wouldn't expect that this is everything they give like their life to. Please don't do that. Like I don't do that.
And I will say that this isn't like, I don't want to say this is not normal, but this is like American, because if you go talk to Europeans, if you tell them this kind of stuff, they will be like, "That's insane." Because
Yeah.
like in Amsterdam and in Germany, your boss is not hitting you up on the weekends. You're not expected to work 12 hours a day. Like that's literally insane. The culture is not set up for that. If you go to Amsterdam, shit closes at 5 p.m. because everyone's fucking done. There's a hard stop at 5 p.m. everywhere. And I don't want to hear people, I work at a startup in Amsterdam. It's not like this. No, 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 no. The culture is like this. Things are closed. And it's just spooky that we've set up a system where people have to work 80 hours a week.
I still remember to this day when I quit that first job we had for a large retailer where you could have had a career at, like those are like the ends that you kind of want to stay in if you want to go certain routes. But I just remember my manager had just gone on maternity leave and she came back and I was dreading it. She was just the worst manager. Okay. Managers are supposed to help you when your workload is heavy. I didn't know that until I had other managers who did that, who they were like, oh, your workload's too heavy. What can I help with? She never once did that. Why? Because, listen, I love anybody who wants to have kids. I think that's great. But if you're going to work from home and have kids and never help your employees because you are taking care of your kids while you're home, girl, be for real. And the reason I ended up quitting was because when she came back, she told me I had to stay till 8 p.m. New York time so I could be there 5 p.m. Seattle time, which other managers had told me I didn't have to do. So I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't like the terms of this agreement. I'm out. There's just a lot of dynamics that go into certain workflows that I do find spooky when you think that one place is your whole life. So don't, don't.
I think people legit gaslight themselves into believing that everything that happens at a workplace is normal. Because I swear to God, people are like, oh, no matter where you go, you'll get this many emails. I'll tell you right now, I have not had a job where I got as many emails as my first job. And at that first job, the fucking expectation was that you respond to it in 24 hours, which I know what a lot of people are saying, like, oh, that's reasonable. I was getting, I'm not exaggerating, 100 to 200 emails a day, right? You just can't do it. And I was like, bro, I literally, if I responded to all these emails, like as they came in, I would have no time to do anything else. And like the thing was like, well, maybe get here 2 hours early to get through emails or stay 2 hours late to get through emails. And I'm like, that's nuts because I work salary.
Yeah.
Your suggestion to like, hey, this literally doesn't work is you should just work more, not gonna work for me because I'm not getting paid more.
That's like every fashion job corporate fashion job I've ever met. That is the expectation. You have to be here. Legally, we can't tell you to be here over 8 hours a day, but like, why aren't you getting 3 emails? If everybody else is getting 3 emails? Well, because Sally and Hannah are working 10 to 12 hours a day. Okay. and I and I don't compare and other women are not my competition. Okay. You can't get me on self-esteem. Okay.
I know, and I'd be getting too real. I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna be really honest with you. If I don't work out and walk my dog, I'll fucking end it, and neither of us will be happy because I'll be like, you're gonna quit. I'll be like, no, I'll be taking myself out, and then they're like, holy shit, this bitch is crazy, and then like, I literally, I get too real. I'm like, I can't handle that, and then they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a balance for everything. So some people can do it, some people can't. I think if the position that you're on is spooky scary.
Yeah, well, now it's like I feel like I can handle a lot more. Now it's spooky that like what used to be really big challenges in my life, I feel like are like light work. Like thank God. Like it's a blessing and a curse, right?
It does get easier. Well,
It does.
I mean, you get new challenges in life, but some
Yeah.
things I think perspective wise when you're like, "Oh wow, yeah, that task or concept or whatever used to be harder and now
Some stuff does get easier. Like there's stuff that'll never get easier, but it's just interesting.
is it spooky that it never gets easier?" No,
Well,
I like a challenge cuz then what would be the point of
yeah.
life? It gets so boring.
I just appreciate new challenges, and I think I've gotten a good grasp, a good handle on certain things that I couldn't 5 years ago, but I don't think I realized that I would ever get good at it. Like, that's spooky that 5 years ago, I was like, I'm never gonna be good at this. I'm never gonna fucking get over this."
Nah.
And I was like, "I got it."
Yeah. I think I found a beautiful moment where I was like, in 6 months I'm gonna feel different, and then I did, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take that. Anytime I feel bad, I'm like, in 6 months my life's gonna look different, and it really does.
I think that's, like, a spooky but powerful thing about life is that, like, in 6 months, everything can be different.
Yeah.
And it's spooky because you have the power to change it, but not everyone does. Or not everyone does. It's just like you also have everything can be just the exact same and only, like, you can really decide whether you're gonna make changes or not.
Yeah. I got into a deep dive about quantum physics and then I was like, am I losing my mind? Because, they just say like there's just like different versions of you all at the same time
Mhm.
that can go different directions. And I feel that. I really do. Cuz sometimes I'm like I feel like I miss or like I long for something that I feel like I already have but I'm not. And I don't know if that makes sense. So that's why I was
No.
like, am I going crazy? But then I heard that girl talk about quantum physics and I was like, I already got it. Just
I
it's
have you
coming.
watched Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No.
Oh, you should watch that. So that's, like, one of my favorite movies, but I sat in that movie, and they have, like, a quantum physics element of basically that there's different, like, universes of yourself, right? And every time you make a choice, it, like, breaks out, which is kind of like quantum physics, like, there's multiple realities. And I kinda was like sometimes I think about my choices like that. Like, there's a reality where I don't do anything, and my life's probably gonna look a lot similar to the one right now because nothing is, like, igniting a change of a branch. But then there's a reality where I change everything and, like, what could happen?
I feel sometimes you can feel that when you're like, I could go this way and I see it working out in the long run, but do I really want to go this way with anything? I think you can only really navigate from like places of good vibes. And sometimes that makes the scary less scary. When you're like really follow things that you're like, all right, I could go down this road that I know will be like challenging and difficult based on things that don't necessarily I can't control. I would say this in difficult relationships. Sometimes I'd be like, I see how this could work out in a few years, but I'm like, that's going to be a lot of energy into this. Or should I put my energy into like where it's being reciprocated, where it feels good, where I feel like I'm achieving something? And when I've gone down that road, it just leads to a lot of better things had I chosen to stay with like the other road where it felt a little bit more ambiguous and it felt like a little bit not necessarily, like, at my highest vibrational pool per se.
I totally agree with you, and I think if you're getting hung up on, like, which path to choose, even if, like, one isn't necessarily like I think there's sometimes we see a path and we're like, "I really don't want it." But then there's sometimes just 2 paths that, like, you don't know which one you want. I would say move in any direction, and what is for you will come for you. Like, I think what is meant for you will happen, and so that's why sometimes I feel like people get so hung up, like, "Oh my god, like, what about this relationship or this job?" And I'm like, I don't think it's gonna be the be all end all for what is meant for you.
That's true. And I do believe that if you keep to your values, okay, things do align with you. The choices will be made for you if you truly just like talk the talk, walk the walk. Like if you align yourself, if you say like my values are these, and if you don't make a choice but you act within your values, the choice will be made for you. And if you start kind of like altering the values to go into that path, I think that's a lot more difficult in the long run. That's not gonna work out.
It'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
It'll catch up with you in one way or another. Oh my gosh. All right. So that's spooky season, babes. Spooky season. We have like 2 more weeks of spooky season, so enjoy it, y'all.
3. Well, let's relax. Okay?
3?
It's 3. October's, like, just started. I mean, it's like we're
Oh my
halfway
god,
through it, but
it's like halfway over.
yeah, it's
So
3
it's like
weeks
two and
till
a half weeks.
Halloween. Yeah.
Okay, 3 weeks. 3 weeks of spooky season, y'all. We have 3 more spooks to do, so make sure that you like this, subscribe, tell a friend. Follow us on socials. You can find us at thanks to number 4 you're concerned, and I'm at Ella L Tutor.
I'm at Bernice DSM.
Bye.